What if one hidden truth could transform even your most painful relationships and finally allow your heart to rest? Tonight, you'll hear a secret that Zen monks have whispered for centuries, a thread that runs through ancient parables, revealing why certain people appear in your life when they do, and what they're here to awaken in you. If your mind feels like a sky full of racing thoughts, if your heart carries tension you can't explain, you are in the right place. These are stories, simple, sacred, and unforgettable. Each one a key, each one a mirror. And tonight, I will share a rare collection of these timeless ones with you. Even if you've never meditated before, even if your thoughts never slow down, it doesn't matter. You don't need to do anything. Just listen. Let my voice be a lantern in the dark. Let the stories be the rain that softens the soil of your mind, so peace can finally take root. If you are here tonight seeking a sanctuary for your mind, a quiet harbor from the relentless waves of a busy world, then you have found your way. For centuries, deep within the silent monasteries of the East, Zen masters have passed down a profound understanding of the human heart. They discovered that much of our restlessness, our worry, our inability to find peace comes from a misunderstanding of one simple, sacred truth. Allow my voice to be a gentle guide for your deep sleep and peaceful rest. Let us begin this journey together and discover the unseen threads that connect us all. Let your body begin to settle. Feel the weight of it, a gentle and friendly pressure against the surface that holds you. There is no need to change anything, no need to force relaxation. Simply notice. Notice the quiet rhythm of your breath, a silent tide that comes and goes without any effort from you. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a vast, ancient forest. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and pine. Before you is a small, weathered gate, and you feel an unspoken invitation to pass through. As you step across the threshold, you leave behind the noise of your day. The worries, the schedules, the conversations, they fall away like dust from your shoulders. You are here now, in a place of stillness. A wise old guide meets you on the path. He does not speak, but his presence is one of deep and unconditional acceptance. He gestures for you to walk with him deeper into the heart of the woods. The path is soft with fallen leaves. Sunlight filters through the high canopy, painting shifting patterns on the ground. The only sounds are the whisper of the wind in the trees and the gentle crunch of your footsteps. Your guide pauses beside a small, clear pond. The water is so still it perfectly mirrors the sky above. He gestures toward it, inviting you to look. As you gaze into the water, you see not your own reflection, but a story beginning to form. It is the story of the two monks and the river. Two Zen monks, one old and one young, were on a long pilgrimage. They walked for many days, their robes the color of the dusty road. They finally came to a wide, fast-flowing river. There was no bridge. On the riverbank stood a young woman in a beautiful silk kimono, looking distressed. She was clearly afraid to cross the turbulent water, as it would ruin her fine clothes, and she feared being swept away. The young monk, strictly adhering to the monastic vows that forbade him from touching a woman, walked past her without a word, found a shallow spot, and began to cross. The old monk, however, stopped. He looked at the woman with compassion, saw her fear, and without a moment's hesitation, he lifted her onto his back. He carried her carefully across the rushing river and set her down gently on the other side. She bowed deeply in gratitude, and the old monk simply nodded and continued on his way, catching up to his younger companion. The two monks walked on in silence. 1 hour passed, then 2. The young monk's face grew darker and more troubled with every step. He was wrestling with what he had seen. Finally, unable to contain his agitation any longer, he burst out, "Master, how could you do that? You know we are forbidden to touch a woman. It is a serious violation of our vows. How could you carry her like that?" The old monk looked at him, his eyes calm and clear like the sky after a storm. He smiled gently and said, "I left the woman by the river 2 hours ago. Are you still carrying her?" The young monk stood frozen, the weight of his own judgment suddenly heavier than any person he could ever carry. Your guide by the pond looks at you, his eyes filled with a gentle understanding. He does not need to speak for you to feel the resonance of this story. The parable is not just about the two monks. It is about you. It is about the burdens you carry long after the event has passed. Think of a person or a situation in your life that you are still carrying. A conversation that ended poorly. An old hurt from a friend or a family member. A mistake you made that you replay in your mind. Like the young monk, you have walked miles and miles, hours and hours, carrying the weight of something that is no longer there. The old monk understood a profound truth. The purpose of the encounter was to help. Once the help was given, the moment was complete. He was free. The woman was not a temptation or a violation. She was simply a being in need at a river's edge. The encounter was a brief intersection of two paths, a moment of compassion in action. Its purpose was fulfilled, and then it was over. The young monk, however, attached a story to the event. He added layers of rules, judgments, and anxieties. He was not carrying the woman, he was carrying his own rigid ideas. He was carrying the past. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, ask yourself, what am I still carrying? What woman by the river am I holding on to in my mind long after I should have set her down? The person who cut you off in traffic this morning, the thoughtless comment from a coworker, the fear of a future that has not yet arrived. Each of these is a weight. Each of these is a story you are telling yourself. The peace you seek, the deep sleep that awaits you, is found on the other side of that river. It is found in the moment you realize you have the power to put the burden down. You can leave it on the riverbank. The person, the event, the memory, they entered your life for a reason, perhaps to teach you compassion, patience, or the very lesson of letting go. But their purpose is not for you to carry them forever. Their purpose is fulfilled. Now, your purpose is to walk on, free and unburdened, into the quiet peace of this present moment. Imagine placing all those burdens, all those stories, gently on the ground beside you. You can pick them up again tomorrow if you choose. But for tonight, you are free. You are the old monk walking lightly. Your mind is clear and open as the forest path ahead. You continue your walk with the silent guide, moving deeper into the tranquil woods. The air grows cooler, and the scent of damp moss and rich earth fills your senses. The path now winds toward a clearing, and in the center of it, you see a small, immaculately kept garden. It is a Zen garden, a place of profound simplicity and order. There is no chaotic splash of colors, but rather a harmonious arrangement of rocks, sand, and a few carefully chosen plants. An old man is there, patiently raking the white sand into swirling patterns that mimic the flow of water. He works with a focused, meditative grace. He does not seem to notice you at first, so absorbed is he in his task. Your guide gestures for you to sit on a smooth, flat stone at the edge of the garden and observe. The story that unfolds in your mind's eye is not one of monks or warriors, but of a simple farmer. There was once an old farmer who had worked his land for many decades. His fields were fertile, and he was known for his wisdom. One day, a young, ambitious man from the city bought the plot of land next to his. The young man was eager to prove himself and employed all the latest, most aggressive farming techniques. He worked from before sunrise until after sunset, driven by a desire for a quick and massive harvest. The old farmer continued his work as he always had, with patience, care, and a deep respect for the rhythms of the seasons. He spoke to his plants. He took time to rest in the shade, and he paid close attention to the quality of the soil. The young man scoffed at the old farmer's methods. "Old man," he would say, "you are wasting your time. You could double your yield if you just worked harder, if you pushed the land as I do." The old farmer would only smile and reply, "The soil knows its own time. A seed cannot be rushed." As the season progressed, a severe drought fell upon the region. The young man's crops, which had grown quickly and shallowly, began to wither under the relentless sun. Their roots were not deep enough to find the hidden moisture in the earth. In his desperation, he watered them more and more, but the water just evaporated from the hard, overworked soil. The old farmer's crops, however, remained green and healthy. His patient tilling and nurturing had created a rich, absorbent soil. His plants had grown strong, deep roots that could draw water from far below the surface. They were resilient. One evening, the defeated young man came to the old farmer's gate. "I do not understand," he said, his voice full of humility. "I worked so much harder than you, yet I have lost everything. You seem to work so little, yet your fields are thriving." The old farmer invited him in for tea and said, "You were not working the land. You were fighting it. You saw only the harvest, the result. I was not working for the harvest. I was tending to the soil. The harvest is just the natural result of healthy ground. Your relationships, your mind, your life, they are all the same. Do not focus on the fruit. Tend to the soil." The old gardener in the Zen garden finishes his raking. He places the rake carefully against a stone lantern and turns to you. His eyes are as kind and patient as the old farmer's. He gestures to the garden around him, to the carefully placed rocks and the raked sand. He is showing you a living metaphor for your own mind. Your mind is a garden. The people who enter your life are the seeds. Some are seeds of beautiful flowers, love, joy, friendship. Some are seeds of thorny bushes or bitter weeds, conflict, betrayal, irritation. You do not always choose the seeds that land in your garden. They are carried on the winds of karma, delivered by the hands of fate. A difficult coworker, a demanding family member, a stranger who shows you unexpected kindness. These are all seeds. Your immediate reaction, your untrained instinct, might be like the young farmers. You might try to force the flowers to bloom faster to get the love and approval you desire. You might frantically try to rip out the weeds, spending all your energy fighting the difficult people, hating them, wishing they would disappear. This is fighting the garden. This is exhausting. The Zen master, the wise farmer, knows a different way. He does not fight the seeds. He tends to the soil. The soil is the state of your own consciousness. It is your awareness, your patience, your compassion, your resilience. When your mind is like the young farmers, hard, dry, and overworked with anxiety and judgment, no seed can truly thrive. A compliment will barely register, and a criticism will create a deep crack. When you tend to the soil of your mind through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self-compassion, everything changes. The soil becomes rich, dark, and fertile. When a seed of a flower lands, it will grow into something magnificent because the ground is ready to nourish it. And when a difficult person lands in your garden, something miraculous happens. The healthy soil does not allow the weed to take over. Its roots cannot find purchase in the same way. More than that, the wise gardener knows that even weeds have a purpose. Sometimes their deep roots break up compacted soil. Sometimes they show you exactly where your garden needs more attention, more care. The difficult person in your life is not a curse. They are a sign. They are showing you where the soil of your own mind has become hardened, where it lacks the nutrients of patience or forgiveness. They are an invitation to tend to your own inner world. So, as you drift further into relaxation, stop focusing on the people. Stop trying to change them, to pull them out, or to force them to be different. Turn your gentle attention inward, tend to your garden. Soften the soil of your mind with the water of acceptance. Add the nutrients of compassion. Allow the sunlight of awareness to shine on it. You will find that when the garden within is healthy, the world outside transforms. The flowers will seem more beautiful, and the weeds will no longer have power over you. They are all just a part of the vast, mysterious, and beautiful landscape of your life. Leaving the garden behind, you follow your silent guide along a narrow path that begins to climb. You are ascending a gentle mountain slope. The trees thin out, replaced by resilient shrubs and ancient, moss-covered stones. The air becomes clearer, crisper. With each step, you feel lighter, as if you are leaving the density of the world below. You can hear the faint, distant sound of a temple bell, a single, pure note that seems to hang in the air forever. You and your guide arrive at a wide ledge overlooking a vast valley. Mist hangs in the low places, and the mountains on the other side are painted in soft, hazy shades of blue and gray. The world is quiet here, profoundly so. You feel a sense of expansion, as if your own mind is as vast and open as the valley before you. Your guide points out across the expanse, and as you listen to the deep silence, a new story begins to resonate within you. It is the story of a boy and his father. A young boy and his father were walking in the mountains. The boy, full of life and energy, was running ahead on the path. In his excitement, he stumbled and fell, scraping his knee. He let out a sharp cry of pain. "Ah!" To his complete surprise, he heard a voice from across the valley repeating his cry. "Ah!" Curious and a little frightened, he shouted, "Who are you?" He heard the voice answer back, "Who are you?" Growing annoyed by this, he yelled, "You are a coward!" And the voice replied, "You are a coward!" He looked at his father, confused and angry. "Who is that mean person shouting at me?" The father smiled and said, "Son, pay attention." He then turned his face toward the valley and shouted, "I admire you!" The voice answered, "I admire you!" The father shouted again, "You are wonderful!" The voice answered, "You are wonderful!" The boy was astonished, but he still didn't understand. The father gently explained, "People call this echo, but really, it is life. Life gives you back everything you give to it. It is a mirror of your own actions, your own words, your own heart. If you want more love in the world, give more love. If you want more kindness, give more kindness. If you want understanding and respect, give understanding and respect. The world and the people in it will always echo back the call you send out." You stand on the mountain ledge, the story settling into your being like a soft rain. You gaze out at the immense valley, and you begin to understand. The people in your life are echoes. They are not separate, random occurrences. They are reflections of the energy you project into the world. This is not a simple, transactional idea, like be nice and people will be nice to you. It is far deeper, more subtle. The echo is a reflection of your inner state. If you carry anger and resentment within you, even if you hide it behind a polite smile, the world will find a way to echo that anger back to you. You will meet people who seem inexplicably irritable. You will find yourself in situations that trigger your frustration. Life is not punishing you. It is simply showing you what you are broadcasting. It is an echo, a perfect and impersonal mirror. Conversely, if you cultivate a genuine state of peace and compassion within yourself, the world will echo that back. You will begin to notice the kindness in strangers. You will find that your relationships become more harmonious. The people are not necessarily changing. Your capacity to perceive the good that is already there is expanding. The echo you receive is filtered through your own perception. Think of a relationship in your life that feels difficult or stuck, a family member you constantly argue with, a boss you feel misunderstands you. Now, with the honesty of this high, clear mountain air, ask yourself, what am I shouting into the valley? Am I shouting, you don't appreciate me? And so, I hear back, you don't appreciate me? Am I shouting, you are difficult? And so, the echo I perceive is, you are difficult? The difficult person is not the cause of your suffering. They are the echo of a call that originates within you. They are a messenger, bringing you a report on your own inner weather. This realization is not a cause for self-blame. It is a moment of profound empowerment. If the echo you are receiving is not what you want, you do not shout angrily at the valley. That only creates more angry echoes. You change the call. You cannot change the valley, and you cannot change the laws of acoustics, but you can always change your own voice. The change begins not with your words, but with the intention behind them. It begins in the quiet landscape of your own heart. Instead of focusing on what you want from others, focus on what you can give to the situation. Instead of demanding respect, offer respect first. Instead of waiting for understanding, try to understand first. Send a new call out into the valley. Shout, I will try to see the good in you. Shout, I will be patient. Shout, I offer you peace. And then listen. Be patient. The echo may take time to return. The old echoes may still be reverberating for a while, but if you are consistent, if you are sincere, a new echo will eventually return. It is the law of the universe. It is the law of the heart. As you prepare to drift into sleep, let your last waking thoughts be a new call to the world. Let it be a gentle whisper of peace. Let it be a soft hum of compassion. Send forth the energy you wish to receive, and then rest, knowing that life is already preparing to echo that beauty back to you in the morning light. Your journey continues. You descend from the mountain ledge, the path leading you back down toward the lowlands. The air grows warmer, more humid, and you can smell the sweet fragrance of water lilies. The path opens up to the shore of a large, placid lake. The water is dark and smooth as polished glass, reflecting the twilight sky in hues of purple and deep orange. A small, simple boat is moored to a wooden dock. It is empty. Your guide gestures for you to sit on the edge of the dock, your feet dangling just above the still water. The silence here is different from the silence of the forest or the mountain. It is a deep, absorbent silence, full of presence. As you gaze at the empty boat, rocking ever so slightly on the water, a classic Zen parable drifts into your awareness. A Zen master, a man known for his fiery temper before he began his spiritual practice, was meditating in his small boat in the middle of a lake. He had his eyes closed, fully absorbed in stillness. It was a perfect, peaceful afternoon. Suddenly, another boat came crashing into his, jolting him out of his meditative state. His eyes flew open, and a surge of rage coursed through him. "Who was the idiot who just crashed into my boat without even looking?" he bellowed across the water. He turned to yell at the careless boatman, ready to unleash a torrent of angry words. And then he saw it. The other boat was empty. It had simply come loose from its moorings and had drifted silently across the lake, carried by the gentle current. In that instant, the master's anger vanished. It simply evaporated into the air. He had nowhere to direct it. There was no one to blame. He couldn't be angry at an empty boat. He sat back down, and a profound realization washed over him. The anger was not in the other boat. The anger was within him. The other boat was merely a trigger that brought it to the surface. He bowed his head to the empty boat, as if thanking a great teacher. From that day on, whenever someone insulted him, criticized him, or provoked him, he would close his eyes for a moment and say to himself, "The boat is empty. The boat is empty." You sit on the dock, the image of the empty boat held gently in your mind. This story is perhaps one of all the most direct and powerful lessons about your relationships with others. Every person who irritates you, who hurts you, who frustrates you, is an empty boat. They are not the source of your anger, your hurt, or your frustration. They are simply the object that has drifted into you and revealed the feelings that were already present, more just below the surface of your own consciousness. When someone cuts you off in traffic, your anger flares. You think the anger is caused by them. But is it? Or was the potential for that anger already inside you, waiting for a trigger? The other driver is just an empty boat. When a loved one says something that hurts your feelings, you believe they made you feel sad. But is that the whole truth? Or did their words simply bump against a pre-existing insecurity, a tender spot of self-doubt that was already part of your inner landscape? That person, in that moment, is an empty boat. This understanding does not excuse harmful behavior in others. It is not about letting people treat you poorly. It is about reclaiming your own power. As long as you believe that other people are the cause of your emotions, you are a victim. You are helpless. Your inner peace is dependent on the random, unpredictable movements of billions of other boats on the vast lake of life. You will spend your entire existence trying to steer their boats, yelling at them, pleading with them, trying to control them, which is an impossible and exhausting task. The moment you realize that the emotion, the anger, the sadness, the irritation is yours, everything changes. You are no longer a victim. You are an observer of your own inner world. The empty boat becomes a gift. It is a diagnostic tool. The person who angered you today gave you a precious piece of information. They showed you, here, right here, is a pocket of anger you are carrying. The person whose comment stung you gave you a map. They showed you, look, right here, is an unhealed wound that needs your gentle attention. You can then turn inward, not with blame, but with curiosity and compassion. You can ask, why is this anger here? What is it protecting? What is the old wound beneath this sadness? Instead of wasting your energy trying to control the external world, you can use it to heal your internal world. This is the path to unshakable peace. It is a peace that is not dependent on everyone else behaving perfectly. It is a peace that comes from understanding your own heart. It is the peace of the Zen master who could smile at the empty boat, grateful for the lesson it had brought him. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, bring to mind a person who has recently bumped into you. Someone who has triggered a negative emotion. See them not as a malicious captain, but as an empty boat drifting on the current. Feel the anger or hurt that arose. And now, recognize that the feeling is yours. It belongs to you. It is a part of your experience, and it has something to teach you. Silently, in your heart, thank the empty boat for the information it has brought you, and then let it go. Let it drift away. Turn your attention inward to the feeling itself. Surround it, not with judgment, but with a soft, gentle curiosity. You don't need to fix it or solve it tonight. Just be with it, acknowledge it. This simple act of turning inward is the beginning of true freedom. It is the beginning of a peace so deep that no drifting boat can ever disturb its surface for long. The light is fading completely now, the sky a deep, velvety blue. Your guide leads you away from a still lake and along a path that follows the course of a small flowing river. You can hear the constant, gentle music of the water as it moves over smooth stones. The sound is calming, a timeless lullaby. You sit together on the riverbank, on a patch of soft moss. The air is cool on your skin. You watch the water, a dark ribbon moving ceaselessly towards some unseen sea. It never stops, not for a moment. Every drop that passes you is gone forever, replaced by a new one. In this endless, gentle flow, you perceive another story, another layer of truth about the nature of your life and the people in it. In a village nestled by a great river, lived a woman whose heart was heavy with regret. Years ago, she had a terrible argument with her younger brother. Hateful words were exchanged, words that could not be taken back. Her brother left the village the next day to seek his fortune in a distant city, and they had not spoken since. The woman replayed the argument in her mind every single day. She imagined what she should have said, what he should have said. She held on to the anger and the hurt, but beneath it all was a deep well of sadness and a longing for reconciliation. She spent her days lost in the past, her face a mask of sorrow. One day, the village's wise elder, a woman who had seen many seasons pass by the river, came to sit with her. "You look at this river every day," the elder said gently, "but you do not see it." The woman, confused, replied, "What do you mean? I see it right now." The elder pointed to the flowing water. "Can you show me the water that passed by a moment ago? Can you reach in and catch it? Can you put it back where it was?" The woman shook her head. "Of course not. It is gone forever." The wise elder looked into her eyes. "Your life, your relationships, that argument with your brother, they are all this river. The moment you argued has passed. The words that were said have flowed downstream and are gone. You cannot catch them. You cannot put them back. And yet, you sit here on the bank trying to fish a single lost drop from an entire ocean. You are trying to stop the river, and that is why you suffer." The woman began to weep, tears of understanding mingling with her sorrow. The elder continued, "The river is still flowing. It is new in every moment. Your brother is not the same person he was then, and you are not the same person. You are both like this river, constantly changing. You cannot go back to the old river. You can only step into the new one. Let the past flow away. All you have is the river as it is right now. You are sitting by that riverbank with your own life, your own relationships flowing ceaselessly before you. This is the teaching of impermanence, one of the cornerstones of Zen wisdom. Nothing is fixed. Everything is in a state of constant flux, like the river. The person you knew 10 years ago does not exist anymore. The person you knew yesterday does not exist anymore. Even the person you spoke to this morning has changed, and so have you. Billions of cells have died and been replaced. New thoughts have been thought. New experiences have been had. We suffer because, like the woman in the story, we try to hold on to a fixed image of people, of ourselves, and of our relationships. We create a mental photograph of someone, my critical mother, my unreliable friend, my perfect partner. And then we interact with that photograph instead of the living, breathing, ever-changing person in front of us. We are in a relationship with a memory, a ghost, and we are angry or disappointed when the real person doesn't conform to our static image. Think of a relationship you defined by its past, a friendship that was once close but has since drifted, a romantic partner who hurt you, a version of yourself you regret or miss. You are holding a photograph. You are trying to grasp water that has already flowed to the sea. The freedom, the peace you seek lies in accepting the nature of the river. It lies in letting go of the photograph and learning to see the person as they are right now, in this moment. The person who hurt you in the past may not be the same person today. They may have learned, grown, or regretted their actions. By holding them to their past, you prevent any new relationship from forming. You are denying the river its right to flow, and more importantly, you are denying yourself the freedom to move on. When you truly understand this, forgiveness becomes a natural act. Forgiveness is not about condoning what happened. It is not about saying, what you did was okay. Forgiveness is the act of acknowledging that the river has flowed on. The past is gone. It no longer exists except in your memory. Forgiveness is the act of tearing up the old photograph so you can see the real person standing before you. It is the release of your own attachment to a story that is over. So as you sit by this river of time preparing for sleep, let the current carry away your attachments to the past. Visualize those old hurts, those regrets, those fixed ideas about people, as leaves floating on the surface of the water. Watch them drift away. Watch them move downstream, getting smaller and smaller until they disappear from view. They are not your burden to carry. Your only task is to be present with the river as it is now. Feel the gentle flow of your breath. That is the river. Notice the sensations in your body. That is the river. The person who enters your life tomorrow will be a new person, and you will be a new you. Every moment is a new river, a fresh start, a clean slate. There is nothing to hold on to. There is only this endless, peaceful, and liberating flow. Allow yourself to drift on it, to be carried by it into a deep and dreamless sleep. Your journey with the guide takes you away from the river and onto a dusty path that leads toward a small, humble village. The last light of day has vanished, and the first stars are beginning to appear in the deep indigo sky. The air is warm and still. You can hear the distant, gentle sounds of evening life, a dog barking, the low murmur of conversation from behind closed doors. You feel a sense of peace, of simple, ordinary existence. Your guide leads you to a communal well in the center of the village, A single lantern hangs above it, casting a warm, golden glow. You sit on the stone ledge of the well, and in the quiet ambience, a new story takes shape in your mind, a story about imperfection and hidden purpose. In India, there was a water bearer who had two large pots. Each hung on one end of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water from the stream to his master's house. The other pot had a crack in it. At the end of the long walk from the stream, it would arrive only half full. For 2 full years, this went on daily, with the water bear delivering only 1.5 pots of water to his master's house. The perfect pot was very proud of its accomplishments, flawless and efficient. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived as bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. "I am so ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you. Because of this crack in my side, the water leaks out all the way back to your master's house. Because of my flaw, you do all of this work and you don't get full value for your efforts." The water bearer smiled kindly. "As we return to the master's house, I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path." Indeed, as they went up the hill, the cracked pot noticed the sun warming the beautiful wildflowers on the side of the path, and this cheered it some. But at the end of the trail, it still felt bad because it had leaked out half its load, and so it apologized again for its failure. The water bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw. So I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back from the stream, you have been watering them. For 2 years, I've been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty to grace the house. You sit by the village well, the gentle light of the lantern illuminating the truth of this simple, profound story. Each person in your life is a pot, and so are you. We spend so much of our lives trying to be the perfect pot. We try to hide our cracks, our flaws, our insecurities. We present a polished, flawless exterior to the world, fearing that if anyone saw our imperfections, we would be judged as a failure, just as the cracked pot judged itself. We see our anxiety, our sadness, our past mistakes, our physical imperfections as shameful flaws that diminish our value. And we judge others in the same way. We become impatient with our friends' insecurities. We are critical of our family's quirks. We want everyone around us to be perfect, unbroken vessels. But this is a rejection of life itself. The Zen perspective understands that the cracks are where the light gets in. The cracks are what make us unique. The cracks are where our true purpose is often found. The people who enter your life are not meant to be perfect. Their flaws are often the very reason they are on your path. Think of a person you love but whose crack you find difficult. A partner who is overly sensitive. A friend who is chronically disorganized. A parent who is stubborn. You may have spent years wishing you could fix their crack. You may see it as a problem, a source of frustration. Now, consider the perspective of the water bearer. What if that flaw has a hidden purpose you have not yet seen? What if your partner's sensitivity, which can be difficult, is also the source of their deep empathy and compassion, the very things that water the flowers of your own heart? What if your friend's disorganization is linked to a creative, spontaneous spirit that brings unexpected joy and adventure into your life? What if your parents' stubbornness is the flip side of a fierce loyalty and resilience that has protected your family for years? The cracked pot could only see its own failure. It couldn't see the flowers. It needed the water bearer to point them out. Sometimes, we need to become our own water bearer. We need to look at our own perceived flaws and ask, what flowers have grown on my side of the path because of this? Perhaps your struggle with anxiety has made you a deeply compassionate and understanding listener for others in pain. Perhaps a past failure has given you the gift of humility and resilience. Your cracks are not mistakes. They are part of your sacred design. And the cracked people in your life are not there by accident. They are not projects to be fixed. They are messengers, and often they are gardeners. Their perceived flaws may be watering a part of your own soul that you are not even aware was thirsty. They may be challenging you to grow in patience, in acceptance, in unconditional love. They are teaching you to see the beauty in the imperfect, the purpose in the broken. As you prepare your mind for deep rest, let go of the demand for perfection in yourself and in others. Embrace the cracks. see your life not as a collection of perfect and broken pots, but as a beautiful garden path lined with flowers that can only grow because of the unique, imperfect, and utterly necessary flaws of everyone who has walked it with you. There are no mistakes. There is no failure. There is only the watering of flowers, often in ways we cannot immediately see. Rest in that knowledge. Rest in the beauty of your own magnificent, cracked self. The village sounds fade as your guide leads you away from the well and towards a silhouette on the edge of the town. A small, simple monastery. There are no grand gates or ornate statues, just a low wall and a wooden door. The door is slightly ajar. A single soft light glows from within. Your guide pushes the door open and you step inside. The air is still and carries the faint, clean scent of sandalwood incense. In the center of a simple, unadorned room, a Zen master sits in silent meditation. His back is straight, his eyes are closed, and his presence fills the entire space with an aura of profound peace. There are no words exchanged. There is only the shared stillness. In this powerful silence, a story emerges about the space between words and the lessons found there. A young, eager student came to a renowned Zen master, seeking enlightenment. The student was brilliant, well-read, and had studied all the major sutras and philosophical texts. He arrived at the monastery full of questions, his mind buzzing with complex concepts about reality, consciousness, and the nature of the self. He bowed before the master and immediately began to speak. "Master," he said, "I have studied the Diamond Sutra and the Heart Sutra. I have contemplated the teachings on emptiness and non-duality. I have a question about the interdependent nature of all phenomena. How can one reconcile the concept of no self with the experience of individual karma? Is the phenomenal world merely an illusion, or is it an expression of the absolute?" He went on like this for some time, quoting ancient texts, posing sophisticated philosophical dilemmas. The master sat perfectly still, listening. He did not interrupt. His face was placid, like the surface of a deep lake. When the student finally ran out of questions and fell silent, breathless from his own intellectual torrent, he waited for the master's profound answer. He expected a brilliant discourse, a philosophical gem that would illuminate everything. The master remained silent. He simply sat there, his eyes gently closed. A minute passed. The silence felt immense, heavy. The student grew uncomfortable. He thought perhaps the master hadn't heard him. "Master?" he asked, his voice now tinged with uncertainty. The master slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the student with deep compassion. Then, he simply picked up a small bell from his side and rang it once. A single, clear, resonant sound filled the room, hung in the air for a moment, and then faded back into silence. The master then closed his eyes again. The student was stunned, then frustrated, then insulted. He had offered his greatest intellectual treasures, and the master had responded with, "Nothing? Just the ring of a bell?" He left the monastery in a huff, convinced the master was a fraud. Years later, after much more struggle and fruitless searching, the student, now an older and more humble man, was sitting by a stream. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the sound of the flowing water was all around him. Suddenly, a temple bell rang in the distance. The single clear note pierced the quiet air. In that moment, he remembered the master. He remembered the silence in the room after his barrage of questions. He remembered the pure, simple sound of the bell, and in that instant, he understood. All his questions, all his concepts, all his intellectual grasping, they were just noise. They were a wall of thought that stood between him and reality. The master's silence was the answer. It was an invitation to stop thinking and start being. The ring of the bell was the answer. It was a pointer to the direct, unmediated experience of the present moment. The truth was not in the books. It was in the silence between the words. It was in the simple, pure ishness sea of a single sound. You were sitting in the meditation hall, in the silent presence of the master. You begin to understand that some of the most important people who enter your life teach you not with their words, but with their silence. We are a culture obsessed with communication, with talking things through, with expressing ourselves. We believe that connection is built through conversation, and it often is. But we have forgotten the power of silence. We have forgotten the lessons of the space between. Think of the people in your life. Has someone ever taught you a profound lesson by not speaking? Perhaps it was a friend who simply sat with you in your grief, offering not platitudes or advice, but the deep, comforting presence of shared silence. Their quiet companionship said more than words ever could. You are not alone. I am here with you. Their silence was a vessel that held your pain without judgment. Perhaps it was a person who refused to engage in an argument with you. You wanted to fight, to prove your point, to get a reaction, but they remained calm and silent. At the time, it may have been infuriating, but later, in the quiet, you may have realized that their silence was a mirror. It showed you your own aggression, your own need to be right. Their refusal to add more noise to the situation was a powerful teaching in peace. Sometimes, the silence is absence. A person leaves your life, and the space they leave behind is filled with a deafening silence. In that silence, you are forced to confront yourself. You learn who you are without them. You discover your own resilience, your own capacity for solitude. The silence of their absence becomes a stern but transformative teacher. The master in the story knew that no intellectual answer could satisfy the student's soul. The student's mind was a cup already full of concepts. To add more would only cause it to overflow. The master's silence was an act of profound compassion. He was giving the student the space to empty his own cup. The people who appear in our lives are not always there to give us answers. Sometimes they are there to give us silence. They are there to stop the noise, to ring a single clear bell in the midst of our mental chaos. They are there to show us that true understanding, true intimacy, and true peace are often found not in what is said, but in what is left unsaid. As you allow your mind to quiet down, to drift toward sleep, embrace the silence. Let go of the need to figure everything out, to have all the answers. The most important truths are not concepts to be grasped by the mind. They are experiences to be felt by the heart. Listen to the silence in your room. Feel the stillness. That is the master's presence. That is the ultimate teaching. There is nothing to figure out. There is only this peace, this moment. Rest in it. Leaving the quiet monastery, your guide leads you through the sleeping village and back onto a path that winds into a field of tall, swaying grass. The moon is higher in the sky now, full and bright, casting a silvery glow over the landscape. The world seems washed in a soft, ethereal light. In the middle of the field stands a single, massive boulder, an ancient stone that has weathered countless seasons. It seems to have a powerful, grounded presence. Your guide stops beside it and places a hand on its cool, rough surface. He invites you to do the same. As you touch the stone, you feel its immense, immovable weight, its deep connection to the earth. A story about burdens, real and imagined, begins to form in your consciousness. There was a proud warrior, renowned throughout the land for his strength and courage. He had won many battles and carried the scars to prove it, but he carried another, heavier burden. Years ago, in the heat of a skirmish, his closest friend had fallen while protecting him. The warrior blamed himself entirely. He believed that if he had been faster, stronger, or smarter, his friend would still be alive. This guilt was a heavy stone he carried on his back every single day. It slowed his steps, clouded his thoughts, and stole the joy from his life. He grew grim and withdrawn, his strength becoming a mere shadow of what it once was. Seeking a cure for his endless sorrow, he journeyed to the remote mountain hermitage of a wise old monk. He found the monk sweeping leaves with a simple twig broom, his movements light and effortless. The warrior bowed low. "Master," he said, his voice thick with pain, "I am a strong man, but I carry a burden so heavy it is crushing me. I carry the stone of my guilt, the memory of my failure. Can you teach me how to become stronger so I can bear its weight?" The monk stopped sweeping. He looked at the mighty warrior, saw the deep lines of suffering on his face, and felt great compassion. "I cannot teach you to be stronger," the monk said softly, "but I can show you something." He led the warrior to a large, smooth stone, similar in size to the one the warrior imagined he was carrying. "Pick it up," the monk instructed. The warrior, confused but obedient, bent his powerful legs, wrapped his arms around the stone, and with a great grunt of effort, lifted it. It was immensely heavy. His muscles screamed in protest, and sweat beaded on his forehead. "Now," said the monk, "walk with it." The warrior took one step, then another. His whole body trembled with the strain. He felt his spirit beginning to break under the physical load. "This is the weight I carry every day," he gasped. The monk watched him for a moment, his gaze unwavering. Then he said in a calm, clear voice, "Now put it down." The warrior, with a final desperate effort, released his grip. The stone crashed to the ground with a deafening thud that shook the earth. He straightened up, his back aching, his breath coming in ragged gasps. But he felt an incredible, shocking lightness. His body felt like a feather. The air seemed easier to breathe. He looked at the monk, his eyes wide with a dawning realization. The monk smiled gently. "The stone was never attached to you," he said. "You were holding on to it." The suffering is not in the carrying. It is in the believing that you are not allowed to put it down. You stand in the moonlit field, your hand resting on the cool, solid surface of the ancient boulder. You feel its weight, its reality. But the story has shown you a different kind of weight. The weight of the stones we choose to carry in our minds, the guilt, the shame, the regret. These are the heaviest burdens of all. The warrior in the story is a reflection of a part of you. Perhaps you carry the stone of a past mistake, a poor decision, an unkind word, a time you let someone down. Perhaps you carry the stone of not being good enough, a feeling of inadequacy that you haul through every aspect of your life. Like the warrior, you may have come to believe that this suffering is your identity. You are the one who failed, the one who is not worthy. You may even believe it is your duty to carry this stone as a form of penance or self-punishment. And so you ask for more strength. If only I were more resilient, more disciplined, I could handle this pain. You are asking for the strength to carry a burden you were never meant to hold. The people who enter your life often interact with this stone. Some, out of love, may try to help you carry it, sharing your burden, but this only exhausts them and keeps the stone in place. Others may accidentally bump into it, causing you to stumble and feel a crushing weight all over again. They become the trigger for your pain, but they are not its source. The source of the pain is the belief that you must carry the stone. The monk's wisdom is devastatingly simple. Put it down. He did not offer a complex ritual of forgiveness. He did not engage in a long discussion about the nature of responsibility. He created a direct experience. He made the warrior feel the literal weight and then the profound relief of its absence. The freedom was not in becoming stronger. The freedom was in letting go. The person whose memory you carry as a stone, the friend you lost, the partner you hurt, the parent you disappointed. They are not asking you to carry this weight. That is a story you are telling yourself. Their purpose in your life, even in their absence, is not to be a source of endless suffering for you. Perhaps their purpose is to be the catalyst for the moment you finally realize you have the power to put the stone down. Tonight, as you prepare for the deep release of sleep, I invite you to perform a similar experiment in your mind. Identify the stone you are carrying. Give it a name. The stone of my failure, the stone of my unworthiness, the stone of my regret. Feel its weight in your heart, in your shoulders, in your very soul. Acknowledge how heavy it is, how tired you are from carrying it. Now, in the sanctuary of your own mind, make the conscious decision to let go. Visualize yourself opening your hands. See the stone falling away from you. Hear the thud as it hits the ground. It is no longer yours to carry. Feel the lightness that follows, the immediate, breathtaking relief. You may think, it's not that simple. But what if it is? What if the only thing keeping the stone attached to you is your own grip? For tonight, just for this moment before sleep, allow it to be this simple. You can always choose to pick the stone up again in the morning, though you may find you no longer want to. For now, rest in the lightness. Rest in the freedom of empty hands and an unburdened heart. This is your natural state. The moon is a silent lantern overhead as you and your guide leave the field and the great stone behind. You walk now through a grove of bamboo, the tall, slender stalks creating a natural cathedral around you. The wind whispers through the leaves, a sound that is both rustling and hollow, a kind of natural music. The path is soft underfoot. At the center of the grove, there is a small, open-air tea house, nothing more than a simple wooden platform with a roof. A low table sits in the middle, and your guide gestures for you to kneel on one of the silk cushions. He moves with a quiet, deliberate grace, preparing a pot of tea. The only sounds are the clink of ceramic, the splash of hot water, and the sigh of the wind. He fills a small cup and places it before you. You watch the steam rise in a delicate, dancing wisp. A story about fullness and emptiness comes to mind. A brilliant and highly esteemed university professor, a man proud of his vast knowledge and intellectual achievements, went to visit a famous Zen master. He wanted to learn about Zen, but more than that, he wanted to display his own profound understanding of philosophy and religion. He arrived at the master's simple home and was invited for tea. As soon as they were seated, the professor began to talk. He spoke at length about his studies, the books he had written, the complex theological debates he had won. He analyzed the history of Buddhist thought, compared different schools of philosophy, and posed intricate questions, barely pausing to take a breath. The Zen master listened patiently and politely. While the professor talked, the master began to pour tea into his cup. He poured until the cup was full, and then he kept pouring. The hot tea overflowed, spilling onto the saucer, and then onto the table, and then onto the floor. The professor, seeing the mess, finally stopped talking. "Stop!" he shouted. "What are you doing? The cup is already full. You can't add any more." The Zen master calmly stopped pouring, looked at the professor, and said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" You hold the warm teacup in your hands, feeling its heat seep into your palms. The story is a mirror. The professor represents a way of being that is common to us all. We approach our lives, and especially our relationships, with a full cup. Our cup is filled with our past experiences, our beliefs, our expectations, our judgments, and our ideas of how things should be. We meet a new person, and before they've even had a chance to reveal who they are, we are already filling our perception of them with the dregs of past relationships. They will probably disappoint me, like the last person did. Our cup is full. We enter into a conversation with a loved one, not to listen, but to be right. We are not there to receive what they are saying, but to pour our own opinions over theirs. Our cup is full. We look at the world, not with fresh eyes, but through the filter of our established worldview. We only see what confirms what we already believe. Our cup is full. And so, like the professor, we are unable to receive anything new. Life is constantly trying to pour the fresh hot tea of this present moment, of this unique person, of this new experience, into our cup. But it just spills over. We miss the magic. We miss the truth. We miss the connection because there is no room for it. The people who enter our lives are not there to fill a cup that is already overflowing. They are often there to show us that our cup is full. The person who challenges your most cherished beliefs is not your enemy. They are a Zen master showing you the walls of your own cup. The person who doesn't fit into your neat categories of good or bad is a teacher inviting you to question the very nature of your cup. The situation that doesn't go according to your plan is a lesson, revealing your attachment to how things should be, which is the rim of your cup. The invitation of Zen, the invitation of a truly happy life, is to continuously empty your cup. This does not mean becoming ignorant or having no opinions. It means holding your opinions lightly. It means being willing, in any given moment, to set aside what you think you know in order to truly see what is. It is the practice of shifting from "I know" to "I am willing to see." It is the humility of a beginner's mind. Emptying your cup means approaching the person you have known for 20 years as if you are meeting them for the first time. What new things might you discover? Emptying your cup means listening to an opposing viewpoint not with the intent to refute it, but with the genuine curiosity to understand it. How might your own perspective be enriched? Emptying your cup means facing each day not with a rigid agenda, but with an openness to life's unexpected gifts and lessons. As you prepare to let sleep receive you, imagine your own mind as a teacup. What is it full of right now? Worries about tomorrow? Replays of yesterday? Fixed ideas about yourself and others? Acknowledge all of it, and then, gently, with a simple act of intention, tip the cup over. Let it all pour out onto the soft earth of the bamboo grove. It's okay. You can examine it all again tomorrow if you wish, but for tonight, allow your cup to be empty. An empty cup is not a void. It is a space of infinite potential. It is receptive, open, and ready. It is the state of mind in which true peace can be poured. Rest now in the quiet serenity of your own beautiful, empty cup. The bamboo grove gives way to an open, starlit field. The night is deep and silent. Your guide leads you to a simple, crackling fire. The warmth feels good in the cool night air. The flames dance and leap, casting flickering shadows that make the world seem both real and dreamlike. You sit together by the fire, watching the embers glow and fade like tiny stars. The warmth, the crackling sound, the dancing light. It all creates a space for a story that is challenging, yet deeply transformative. A story about our most difficult teachers. In ancient Japan, a young and ambitious samurai warrior held a deep and bitter grudge against an older, rival samurai. This rival had defeated him in a duel years before, a public humiliation that the young warrior could not forget. He spent years training relentlessly, his mind consumed with a single goal: to find his rival and defeat him, to restore his honor. His hatred was the fire that fueled him, making him stronger, faster, and more skilled. Finally, he tracked his enemy to a remote province. He found the older man living a simple life, meditating and practicing calligraphy. He challenged him to a final duel. The older man, seeing the burning hatred in the young warrior's eyes, accepted. They met in a clearing at dawn. The fight was fierce and swift. The young samurai, powered by his years of focused rage, was stronger and faster. He quickly disarmed the older man and had him at his mercy, his sword at the older man's throat. This was the moment of his triumph, the culmination of his life's purpose. "I have defeated you!" he snarled. As he prepared to deliver the final blow, the older samurai did something unexpected. He looked the young man in the eyes, and then he spit in his face. A wave of pure, unthinking rage, more intense than anything he had ever felt, washed over the young samurai. His mind went white with fury. But in that same instant, his master's teaching echoed in his head. Never act in a moment of pure rage. An action born of rage is always a mistake. He pulled his sword back. He sheathed it. He was shaking, not with fear, but with the effort of controlling his own inner storm. He stood there for a long moment, his breath ragged. The white-hot rage began to cool, and in its place, a shocking clarity emerged. He looked at the older man, who was now smiling faintly. "Why did you do that?" the young warrior asked, his voice trembling. The older samurai replied, "I had already lost the duel of swords, but I did not want you to lose the duel with yourself. Your hatred made you a great swordsman, but it was still your master. In that moment of pure rage, I became your enemy in a different way. I gave you a gift. I gave you the opportunity to conquer the one opponent you had never faced, your own anger. By spitting in your face, I forced you to defeat yourself. And you did. You have won the truer victory." The young samurai looked at his hands, then at his sheathed sword, and for the first time in years, the fire of hatred in his heart was extinguished. He bowed deeply to the man who had been his enemy, now his greatest teacher. You sit by the fire, feeling its warmth on your skin. The flames dance, and you see in them the dance of the two samurai. This story touches upon one of the most difficult, yet most liberating of all Zen teachings. The person who causes you the most suffering can be your greatest gift. We spend our lives avoiding conflict, running from our enemies, the person who betrayed us, the boss who undermines us, the family member who pushes all our buttons. We see them as obstacles to our happiness. We believe that our lives would be peaceful if only they would disappear. The Zen perspective turns this completely on its head. It suggests that these people are not obstacles. They are the path itself. They are not accidental tormentors. They are karmic appointments. They are spiritual masters in a very convincing disguise. The person who angers you is not just an irritation. They are a living koan, a riddle presented to you by the universe. The riddle is, where is the root of this anger in you? Can you find it? Can you sit with it without acting on it? Can you, like the young samurai, sheathe your sword of angry words and reactive behavior? The person who makes you feel insecure or worthless is not just a critic. They are a profound teacher. They are holding up a mirror to the part of you that does not yet know its own unconditional value. They are giving you the precious opportunity to find a source of self-worth that is not dependent on external approval. Their attack forces you to build a stronger inner fortress. The young samurai trained for years to defeat his rival, but his training was incomplete. He had only trained his body and his sword arm. He had not trained his mind. His enemy, in that final moment, gave him the ultimate training ground. He provided the perfect conditions for the samurai to achieve true mastery. Mastery over himself. Think of the most difficult person in your life right now, the one you consider your enemy. What if you were to reframe your relationship with them? What if, just as an experiment, you were to see them not as a source of pain, but as your most dedicated, most challenging, and therefore most valuable personal trainer? They are tirelessly and often thanklessly showing you exactly where you need to grow. They are pointing to the unhealed wounds, the reactive patterns, the attachments that are the true source of your suffering. This does not mean you should seek out abuse or stay in harmful situations. The young samurai walked away after the lesson was learned. It means changing your inner posture. It means shifting from, you are doing this, to, me, to, what is this situation teaching me? It is a shift from blame to gratitude. This is an advanced practice. It is not easy, but it holds the key to a profound and unshakable freedom. As you let the warmth of the fire soothe you into a state of deep relaxation, bring the image of your enemy to mind. Instead of feeling the usual anger, resentment, or fear, try to see them as a disguised teacher. In your heart, without needing to say a word to them in real life, whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me where I am, not yet free. Thank you for this opportunity to grow." This simple, radical shift in perspective can extinguish the fires of hatred and transform them into the warm, glowing embers of wisdom and peace. Rest now, knowing that every person in your life, especially the most difficult, is a part of a sacred curriculum designed for your own awakening. The fire dies down to glowing embers, and a gentle quiet settles over the field. Your guide rises, and you follow him onto a path that leads away from the fire and toward the faint lights of what looks like a small farm. The moon provides ample light to see by. You can smell the scent of hay and animals, a comforting, earthy aroma. You arrive at a simple farmhouse with a fence around it. Inside the fence, a single, strong-looking horse stands sleeping in the moonlight. The scene is one of pastoral peace and simplicity. Your guide leans against the fence, looking at the horse, and a well-known Taoist story, often embraced by Zen, comes to you. There was an old farmer in a poor, remote village. He was respected by his neighbors for his calm and stoic nature. He had one prized possession, a beautiful stallion. One day, the stallion jumped the fence and ran away. The farmer's neighbors all came to console him. "Oh, what terrible luck!" they said, shaking their heads. "Your only horse is gone. How will you plow your fields? This is a disaster." The old farmer simply looked at them and replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who can say?" A week later, the stallion returned, and it was not alone. It had led a herd of 10 wild, magnificent horses back to the farm. The neighbors, hearing the news, rushed over to congratulate the farmer. "What incredible luck!" they exclaimed. "You lost one horse, and now you have 11. You are a rich man now." The old farmer calmly looked at the herd of horses and replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who can say?" The next day, the farmer's only son was trying to tame one of the wild horses. The horse threw him, and the son fell badly, breaking his leg. He would be unable to help with the harvest. The neighbors gathered again, their faces full of sympathy. "Oh, what dreadful luck!" they lamented. "Your son is injured right before the harvest. This is a true catastrophe." The old farmer looked at his son, resting with his leg in a splint, and said, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who can say?" A few weeks after that, the emperor's army came marching through the village. They were conscripting every able-bodied young man for a brutal war from which few were expected to return. They took the sons of all the farmer's neighbors, but when they saw the farmer's son with his broken leg, they passed him by. The neighbors, their hearts broken with grief and fear for their own sons, came to the farmer. "Your son was spared!" they cried. "You were right all along." It was good luck. The old farmer, watching the army disappear over the horizon, simply replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who can say?" You lean against the fence with your guide, the quiet presence of the sleeping horse grounding the story in reality. This parable is a powerful medicine for the human mind, which is constantly trying to label events and people as good or bad. We get a promotion and we say, "This is good." We lose a job and we say, "This is bad." We start a new relationship and we call it a wonderful thing. A relationship ends and we call it a tragedy. We are like the farmer's neighbors, rushing to judgment based on a tiny, incomplete snapshot of a much larger, unfolding story. The farmer embodies the wisdom of non-judgment. He understands that life is a vast, interconnected web of causes and effects, and what appears to be a misfortune from one angle may be a blessing from another. He lives in a state of acceptance, trusting the process of life, which the Taoists call the Tao, and which in Zen is simply called what is. The people who enter and leave your life are like the events in the farmer's story. A person enters your life and they bring you immense joy. You label this good luck. But perhaps this relationship, in its comfort, prevents you from taking a necessary risk or pursuing a deeper calling. A person leaves your life, causing you great pain. You label this bad luck. But perhaps their absence creates the space for you to discover your own strength, to meet someone new, or to change the direction of your life in a way that leads to unimaginable growth, like the son's broken leg saving him from the war. The difficult person at work who makes your life miserable, is that bad luck? Or is their presence the very thing that will motivate you to find a new job, one that aligns with your true passion, a step you were too afraid to take on your own? The friendship that ended in betrayal, is that a tragedy? Or was it a necessary clearing of the path, making way for more authentic connections? The wisdom of the farmer is not a passive resignation. It is an active, profound trust. It is the understanding that you cannot see the whole picture from your limited vantage point. The universe's canvas is far too large. To label any single event or person as purely good or bad is an act of supreme arrogance. It is to claim you know the mind of God, the flow of the Tao. The peace you are seeking tonight comes from relaxing this habit of judgment. It comes from adopting the farmer's refrain as your own gentle mantra. Good luck? Bad luck? Who can say? When a worry about the future arises, see it for what it is, a story about bad luck that has not yet happened. Meet it with, who can say? When a regret about the past surfaces, see it as a judgment on an event whose full consequences you can never know. Meet it with, who can say? This simple phrase is a key that unlocks the cage of anxiety and regret. It releases you from the exhausting job of being the judge and jury of your own life. It allows you to rest in the mystery. It allows you to trust that even the most difficult people and painful events may be a hidden form of grace, a broken leg, that is saving you from a war you cannot yet see. So as you drift off to sleep, let go of your labels. Let go of your stories of good luck and bad luck. Let life be what it is, a mysterious, unfolding process. Rest in the wisdom of who can say, and allow yourself to float on the great unknowable river of your life, trusting that it is carrying you exactly where you need to go. You leave the farm behind, and the path leads you into a landscape that feels more open, more expansive. You are walking across a wide, moonlit plain. The sky above is a vast dome of stars, so clear and bright they seem close enough to touch. There is no destination in sight, only the horizon and the stars. It feels as if you are walking in a space between worlds. In this vast emptiness, a different kind of story comes to mind, a koan, a Zen riddle that is not meant to be solved with the intellect, but experienced with the heart. There was a famous Zen master named Mumon, which means no gate. He compiled a collection of 48 classic koans, and he called this collection the Gateless Gate. In his preface to the collection, he wrote, "The great way has no gate, thousands of roads enter it. When one passes through this gateless gate, he walks freely between heaven and earth." A monk once came to Mumon, having traveled a great distance. The monk was earnest and desperate for a breakthrough. He asked Mumon, "You speak of a gateless gate. If there is no gate, how can one enter? And if there is a gate, where is it? I have searched everywhere for the entrance to enlightenment, and I cannot find it." On looked at the monk, whose face was etched with the effort of his spiritual striving. Mumon then pointed to the monk's own chest. "The gate is here," he said, "but it is also nowhere. The gate you are looking for is the belief that there is a gate. The obstacle is the belief that there is an obstacle. You have been standing inside the temple your whole life, searching for the door." The monk was perplexed. "But I feel separate. I feel I am on the outside, looking in." "How can I be inside already?" Mumon replied. "Who is it that feels separate? Who is it that is on the outside? That feeling of eyes who is searching, that is the gateless gate. Walk right through it. Stop trying to get an end and realize you are already here. You stand on the vast open plain under the star-filled sky. The world around you feels infinite, boundless. This is the temple without a gate." Mumon's teaching points to one of the most subtle and profound truths of the spiritual path. We live with a fundamental sense of lack, a feeling that we are out here and that peace, happiness, or enlightenment is in there, on the other side of some barrier. We think, if only I could solve this problem with my boss, then I would have peace. If only I could find the perfect partner, then I would be happy. If only I could heal this old wound, then I would be whole. Each of these if-onlys is the construction of a gate. We believe there is a barrier between us and where we want to be. The people in our lives become central to this drama. They are either the gatekeepers, blocking our way, or they are the key, the one who can let us in. We project onto them the power to either grant or deny us entry into the temple of our own well-being. The difficult person becomes the locked gate. The person we love becomes the magical key we think we need. We spend our lives running from the gatekeepers and chasing after the key holders. This is an exhausting and futile search because the entire premise is an illusion. There is no gate. You are already inside the temple. The peace you are seeking is not on the other side of your problems. The peace you are seeking is the silent, aware space in which the problems are noticed. The wholeness you desire is not something you achieve after healing. The wholeness is the consciousness that is aware of the feeling of being wounded. You are not the seeker who is lost. You are the vast open space in which the drama of seeking takes place. The difficult person in your life is not a barrier to your peace. They are a manifestation within your peace. Their actions, their words, the feelings they trigger in you, all of it is appearing in the boundless temple of your own awareness. The problem is not the person. The problem is your belief that they stand between you and something else. The moment you see this, the gate vanishes. You stop trying to get somewhere else. You relax into the here and now. You realize that everything you were searching for, peace, love, freedom, is already present as the very nature of your own being, the silent sky in which the clouds of your life drift by. When you stop seeing people as gates, your relationships transform. You no longer need anyone to be your savior. You no longer fear anyone as your obstacle. You can meet each person exactly as they are, a fellow resident of the gateless temple. You can interact with them, love them, learn from them, and even have conflicts with them, all from a place of fundamental wholeness. You're not trying to get anything from them. You are simply sharing the space. This is true freedom. As you lie here, preparing for sleep, let go of the search. Stop trying to get through the gate. Let go of the belief that you need to solve, fix, or change anything about your life or the people in it in order to be at peace. Realize that the awareness that is hearing these words, the consciousness that is feeling your body, is already whole, already complete, already at peace. It has always been so. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to achieve. You are already home. Rest in this boundless temple. Rest in the peace that is your own true nature. The moonlit plain begins to soften into a landscape of rolling hills. The path you follow with your guide is now soft and grassy. You come to a gentle, meandering stream, so clear you can see every smooth, rounded stone on the bottom. The sound of the water is a soft, continuous murmur. Your guide stops and wades into the shallow, cool water. He reaches down and picks up a single, perfectly smooth, gray stone. It fits comfortably in the palm of his hand. He brings it to you and places it in your hand. It is cool, solid, and has a wonderful, comforting weight to it. Its smoothness speaks of a long, long journey. This stone becomes the heart of the next story. In a monastery known for its rigorous discipline lived a young monk who was plagued by a restless mind. His thoughts were like a swarm of angry bees, constantly buzzing, stinging, and distracting him from his meditation. He could not find a moment of peace. He would sit in the zendo, and his mind would race with anxieties about the future, regrets about the past, and judgments about the other monks. He grew desperate. He went to the old abbot, a master who had sat in meditation for 60 years. "Master," the young monk said, his voice full of despair, "I cannot do this. My mind is untamable. I try to focus on my breath, but my thoughts carry me away. I try to be still, but my inner world is a storm. Perhaps I am not meant for this life. How did you tame your mind?" The abbot listened with a deep, patient stillness. When the young monk had finished, the abbot did not offer a complex technique or a philosophical discourse. He simply said, "Come with me." He led the young monk out of the monastery and down to a fast-flowing river. The water rushed and churned over a bed of rocks. "Look at these stones," the abbot said, pointing to the rocks in the riverbed. "What do you notice about them?" The young monk looked. "They are all smooth and rounded," he replied. "There are no sharp edges." The abbot nodded. "That is right. Do you think they started that way? They were once sharp, jagged pieces of rock that fell from the cliffs. They were full of rough surfaces and sharp points." He then reached into the rushing water and picked up one of the smooth stones, just like the one you are holding now. "This stone did not fight the river," the abbot said, turning it over in his palm. "It did not try to stop the current. It did not complain about the other stones bumping against it. It did not try to leap out of the water onto the bank. It simply rested in the flow. It allowed the ceaseless current of the river to move over it, to tumble it, to grind it against the other stones. And over many, many years, the river washed away all its sharp edges. It revealed the smoothness that was always hidden within." He placed the stone in the young monk's hand. "Your mind is that river. Your thoughts are the ceaseless current. Do not fight them. Do not try to stop them. Do not try to leap out of the river of your own mind. Simply rest in the flow. Let the thoughts come and go. Let them tumble over you. If you can learn to rest in the middle of the river, over time, your own heart will become like this stone. All its sharp edges, the anger, the anxiety, the judgment will be smoothed away, revealing the calm, peaceful nature that has been there all along. You hold the smooth stone in your palm. You can feel its history. You can feel the truth of the abbot's words. The people in your life are the river. They are the current. They are the other stones that bump and grind against you. We spend so much energy trying to control the river. We want the people in our lives to be different. We want them to be gentler, kinder, more predictable. We want them to stop bumping into us in ways that hurt. We are trying to stop the current, or we are trying to arrange all the other stones so they won't touch us. This is an impossible task, and it is the source of endless exhaustion and suffering. The difficult person, the challenging situation, the unexpected event, these are the fastest parts of the current. They are the sharpest stones that grind against us. Our instinct is to resist them, to fight them, to complain about them. But the abbot's wisdom offers a radically different path. It is the path of allowing. It is the practice of resting in the flow, no matter what it brings. When a person irritates you, that is the river flowing. Can you allow the feeling of irritation to wash over you without resisting it? Without grabbing onto it and turning it into a story of blame? Can you let it be a part of the current that is smoothing your own sharp edges of impatience? When someone disappoints you, that is the river flowing. Can you feel the disappointment without letting it harden into a permanent resentment? Can you allow it to soften your attachment to expectations? This is not passivity. It is not about being a doormat. The stone is not weak. It is incredibly strong and resilient. Its strength lies in its ability to yield, to allow itself to be shaped by a power greater than itself. This practice of resting in the river is the essence of mindfulness. It is the practice of being with your life exactly as it is, without the constant struggle to change it. It is the discovery of a deep, unshakable peace that is not found on the quiet riverbank of a perfect life, but right in the middle of the turbulent, messy, unpredictable flow. As you prepare to sleep, imagine you are a stone at the bottom of a river. The water flowing over you is the stream of your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations. Some are warm and pleasant, some are cold and uncomfortable. Don't try to stop any of them. Just let them flow. Feel the weight of your own body, your own presence, resting in this flow. There is a part of you, a deep, silent awareness that is as solid and enduring as this stone. The river of life, with all the people and events it brings, cannot harm this essential part of you. It can only serve to smooth away the sharp edges, to reveal the beautiful, peaceful essence that lies within. Rest now. Be the stone. Let the river of life sing you to sleep. The stream murmurs behind you as you walk on, your guide leading you into a clearing surrounded by dark, silent pine trees. The moonlight is bright here, illuminating the clearing as if it were a stage. In the center of the clearing, there is nothing but a single upright wooden post used for swordsmanship practice. It is scarred with countless cuts. The air is still and holds a feeling of focused intensity. A story of a different kind of power, a different kind of victory, arises in this space. There was a great samurai swordsman named Yagyu Tajima. He was the personal sword instructor to the shogun, the most powerful man in Japan. One day, one of the shogun's personal guards, a man of no particular distinction, came to Master Yagyu and begged to be accepted as a student. Master Yagyu looked the man over. "You are already a master of swordsmanship," Yagyu said. "Tell me what school you belong to before we make any arrangements." The guard was shocked. "Master, you must be mistaken. I have never studied the art of the sword in my life. I have never even held a katana properly." Master Yagyu smiled. "I am not mistaken. I am the master of this school, and my eye for a swordsman does not deceive me. I can see that you are a master of the school of no sword." The guard was completely bewildered. "I do not understand what you mean by the school of no sword. I am a simple man, and I can assure you I know nothing of this. If you insist you see this in me, please tell me what it is you see." "Very well," said Master Yagyu. "Tell me about your day. What happened this morning?" The guard thought for a moment. "It was nothing special. This morning, as I was leaving my house, a large piece of roofing tile came loose and was about to fall on my head. I simply stepped aside, and it missed me." "And what else?" asked the master. "Well, later, as I was crossing a bridge, a horse suddenly bolted and galloped straight towards me. I simply stepped into an alcove in the bridge, and it passed by." "And anything else?" "Just now, as I was entering your garden, a wasp flew aggressively toward my face. I simply turned my head, and it flew past." Master Yagyu clapped his hands in delight. "You see, the tile, the horse, the wasp. In each case, you did not fight. You did not draw a sword. You did not even become tense or afraid. You simply saw what was coming and yielded perfectly, effortlessly. You moved in harmony with the situation. You did not oppose the force, so it had no power over you. This is the highest level of swordsmanship. This is the mastery of the sword of no sword. I have nothing to teach you. You stand in the moonlit clearing, the image of the simple guard vivid in your mind. This story illuminates a profound secret about navigating the challenges of life and relationships. We are taught to be warriors. When a problem arises, we are taught to fight it. When a person opposes us, we are taught to stand our ground and win the argument. We draw our mental and emotional swords. We tense up, we resist, we push back. This creates a battle. And even if we win, we are often left exhausted, wounded, and having created resentment in the other person. The guard in the story shows a different way. It is the way of non-resistance. It is not weakness or passivity. It is a form of high intelligence and deep awareness. He was not afraid of the tile, the horse, or the wasp. He was so present, so relaxed and aware that he could see what was coming and respond with perfect, minimal, and harmonious action. He simply got out of the way. The people in your life are often like the falling tile, the bolting horse, or the angry wasp. They come at you with their anger, their criticism, their demands, their negativity. Our instinct is to draw our sword. We meet their anger with our own anger. We meet their criticism with defensiveness. We meet their demands with rigid opposition. Now we are in a fight. We are clashing, creating friction, noise, and pain. The mastery of the sword of no sword is to learn to step aside. When someone aims a sharp, critical comment at you, the falling tile, can you simply step aside internally? Can you choose not to let it hit you? This doesn't mean you agree with it. It means you recognize it as a thing, moving through the air, and you choose not to stand under it. You don't have to catch it, analyze it, or fight it. You can just let it fall. When someone comes at you with a storm of emotion, the bolting horse, can you find the alcove of inner stillness? Can you let the storm of their feelings gallop past you without getting trampled? This means not taking their emotional state personally. You are the bridge, not the target. You can be a calm, stable presence while the chaos passes by. This is an act of immense strength and compassion, both for yourself and for them. This practice requires you to be present and relaxed. You cannot step aside from a falling tile if you are lost in thought about yesterday or tomorrow. You must be here, now, aware of what is actually happening. Tension and fear make us rigid and slow. Relaxation and awareness make us fluid and responsive. As you prepare to surrender to sleep, practice sheathing your sword. Let go of all the battles you are fighting in your mind, the arguments you are replaying, the defenses you are building, the need to be right. Let it all go. Imagine your body and mind becoming fluid, open, and responsive. There is no need to resist anything. The thoughts that arise are just clouds in the sky. The worries are just wasps that will fly by if you don't swat at them. There is a deep peace in this state of non-resistance. It is the peace of the master who needs no weapon because he is in perfect harmony with the world. He does not see enemies, only situations to be met with awareness and grace. Rest in this powerful peace. There is no fight. There is nothing to win. Simply be present, be open, and let the world move around you. The clearing gives way to a path that leads to a small, humble-looking potter's workshop. A kiln, still warm from a recent firing, stands nearby. The door to the workshop is open, and inside, by the light of a single candle, an old potter is sitting at his wheel, though he is not working. He is simply looking at a finished pot on a shelf. It is a simple, rustic tea bowl. Your guide invites you to sit in the doorway, where you can feel the warmth from the kiln and see the potter in his quiet contemplation. A story about usefulness and emptiness arises. A wealthy merchant, a man who prized accumulation in tangible assets, came to visit a village that was famous for its pottery. He was a patron of the arts, but he saw art as an investment. He went to the workshop of the most celebrated potter in the village, an old master who was revered for the simple beauty and profound spirit of his work. The merchant looked around the dusty workshop, at the bags of clay, the tools, the spinning wheel. "I wish to purchase your finest work," the merchant announced. "Show me the best pot you have ever made." The old potter, without speaking, went to a special shelf and took down a simple, unassuming tea bowl. It was beautiful in its imperfection, with a slightly irregular shape and a glaze that looked like a misty landscape. He handed it to the merchant. The merchant examined it, turning it over and over. "It is made of clay, is it not?" he asked. "Yes," said the potter. "Just clay and water and fire. So its value is in the clay? The material?" "No," said the potter. The clay is worthless. You can find it by any riverbank. Then its value is in the form, the shape you have given it, the merchant persisted, gesturing to the bowl's elegant curves. The potter shook his head. The form is just a container. The merchant was growing impatient. Then where is the value? What am I paying for? Is it your labor? Your name? The old potter looked at the merchant with gentle eyes. He took the bowl back and held it up to the candlelight. You are mistaken, he said softly. The value of this bowl is not in the clay. It is not in the shape. The usefulness of this tea bowl comes from the part you cannot see. He pointed with his finger. It comes from the emptiness inside. Without that empty space, it could not hold tea. It would be a useless lump of clay. We shape the clay, but it is the emptiness we use. The merchant stood in silence, the simple truth of the potter's words echoing in the quiet workshop. You sit in the doorway of the workshop, the faint scent of clay in the air. You look at the objects around you, and you begin to see them in a new light. You see the emptiness in the room that allows you to be in it. You see the emptiness in the cup that allows it to hold water. This is the profound teaching of Lao Tzu, which Zen deeply embraces. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the emptiness inside that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. This principle applies directly and powerfully to the people in your life and to your own self. We are so focused on the clay of a person. We define them by their tangible qualities, their job, their appearance, their accomplishments, their personality traits. We define ourselves this way too. We build up our identity with a thick wall of, I am this, I am not that. We are the solid clay. We value what is full, what is present, what is definable. We are often uncomfortable with what is empty, silent, or unknown. But the potter's wisdom shows us that the most valuable part of a person, the part that allows for true connection, is their emptiness. This is not a void or a deficiency. It is their capacity to receive. It is their ability to listen. It is their openness to another person's reality. It is the quiet space within them that is not filled with their own ego, their own agenda, their own story. Think of the best listener you know. When you speak with them, you feel truly heard. Why? Because they offer you the gift of their emptiness. They create a space within themselves to hold your words, your feelings, your experience. Their value to you in that moment is not in what they cause, but in the receptive space they provide. Think of a person who is full of themselves, always talking, always advising, always certain. It is difficult to connect with them. They are like a pot that is already full of solid clay. There is no room for you. Now, think about the people who enter your life. Sometimes, a person comes to you because they need the gift of your emptiness. They don't need your advice, your solutions, or your story. They need a safe, empty space to pour out their own heart. Can you be that for them? Can you value your own capacity for non-being, for simply being a silent, receptive, and compassionate presence, and one of your own journey? We spend so much time trying to add things to ourselves, more knowledge, more skills, more experiences, in the belief that this will make us more valuable. We are constantly adding more clay to our pot. The Zen path suggests that spiritual growth is often a process of subtraction, not addition. It is about creating more emptiness inside. It is about letting go of rigid beliefs, of old identities, of the need to be right. It is about becoming less full of ourselves so that we can be more full of life, of compassion, of connection. As you let your body and mind soften into sleep, practice becoming the empty bowl. Let go of the need to define yourself. Let go of the story of who you are. Let go of the solid walls of your personality. Just for tonight, become the space. The silent, receptive, open, and infinitely peaceful emptiness within. In this emptiness, there is no conflict. There is no lack. There is only a profound capacity to hold all of life just as it is. This is the source of all usefulness, all connection, and all peace. Rest in this sacred emptiness. The potter's workshop fades from view, and your guide leads you back into the quiet of the moonlit night. The path takes you to the edge of a small, still pond. The water is like black ink, and the reflection of the full moon on its surface is perfect and bright. A few white lotus flowers float on the water, their petals glowing in the moonlight. You sit on the soft grass at the water's edge. The scene is one of pristine beauty and purity. In this context, a story about a very different subject, about impurity and the nature of the mind, comes into focus. A group of monks lived in a monastery that was famous for its serene and beautiful gardens. They prided themselves on the purity of their practice and the spotlessness of their temple. One day, a traveling master, known for his unconventional teaching methods, came to visit. The monks welcomed him and showed him their immaculate meditation hall, their perfectly raked sand gardens, and their pristine white robes. The master nodded politely but said little. The next morning, the monks arose for their early meditation. As they entered the main hall, they gasped in horror. During the night, someone had taken a brush and a pot of black ink and had painted a large, ugly, messy black spot right in the middle of the beautiful, polished wooden floor. The monks were outraged. Who would do such a thing? Their sanctuary had been defiled. Their purity was ruined. They began to argue about who was to blame and how they could scrub the stain away. Their minds, usually so calm during meditation, were now filled with anger, agitation, and disgust. All they could see was the ugly black spot. The traveling master entered the hall and saw the commotion. He walked to the center of the room and stood beside the black spot. "Tell me," he said, his voice cutting through their angry chatter. "What do you see?" "We see a hideous stain," one monk cried out. "A defilement," shouted another. The master smiled. "Is that all you see? You see this one small spot of black, but you no longer see the vast, beautiful, and polished floor all around it? This floor is still 99% pure, but your minds have become 100% fixated on the 1% of imperfection. The stain is not on the floor. The stain is in your minds." The monks fell silent, the truth of his words washing over them. They had allowed one small, dark spot to eclipse the entire vast expanse of purity that surrounded it. You sit by the still pond, watching a perfect reflection of the moon. The water is the polished floor of the temple. The moon is the vast expanse of purity. This story is a powerful illustration of how our minds work and how we relate to the people in our lives. Each person, including yourself, is like that temple floor. They are a vast expanse of qualities, experiences, memories, and potential. There is so much goodness, so much beauty, so much to appreciate. And yet, what do we so often do? We find the black spot, we find the flaw, the mistake, the irritating habit, and we fixate on it. A friend is loyal, kind, and funny for years, but they make one mistake. They let us down once, and suddenly all we can see is that one black spot of betrayal. A partner is loving, supportive, and generous, but they have one habit that annoys us, and we allow that annoyance to color our entire perception of them. The black spot becomes bigger in our minds than the entire floor. We do this to ourselves as well. We may accomplish many things, we may be kind and well-intentioned, but we dwell on our one great failure, our one deep regret. We define ourselves by our stain, ignoring the vast, polished floor of our own being. The people who enter our lives are not there to be perfect, spotless floors. They are human. They will inevitably have black spots. They will have flaws, they will make mistakes, they will have moments of unconsciousness. The question is not whether there will be stains. The question is, where will you place your attention? The person who is causing you difficulty right now, are you fixating on their black spot? Have you allowed their flaw to become their entire identity in your mind? Have you forgotten the vast, polished floor of their humanity that still surrounds that spot? To practice this teaching is to consciously redirect your attention. When you find your mind obsessing over someone's flaw, take a breath and deliberately look for the floor. Acknowledge the spot. Don't pretend it isn't there, but then zoom out. Widen your perspective. Remind yourself of the person's good qualities. Remember a time they were kind to you. Consider the struggles they might be facing that you know nothing about. See the spot in its proper context as one small part of a much larger, more complex, and often beautiful whole. This is an act of immense compassion. It is also an act of self-liberation. When you fixate on the stain in another, your own mind becomes stained with anger, judgment, and resentment. When you can see the whole floor, your own mind becomes spacious, peaceful, and compassionate. As you prepare to fall into a deep and healing sleep, think of the stains you have been focusing on in others and in yourself. Now, visualize yourself zooming out. See the vast, polished floor that surrounds them. See the pristine water of the pond. See the perfect, luminous moon. The stain does not have to define the reality. Your attention is the paintbrush of your world. You can choose to paint everything with the color of the flaw, or you can choose to rest your gaze on the boundless, shining expanse of what is good and whole. Choose the moon. Choose the floor. Choose peace. Your journey through the night brings you to a place of profound stillness. You find yourself sitting on a simple cushion in an empty room. There is no guide, no scenery, no sound. There is only the darkness and the silence. It is not an uncomfortable silence, but a deep, resonant one, like the inside of a great bell after it has been struck. In this absolute quiet, the most famous of all Zen koans emerges, not as a question to be answered, but as a state to be entered. A young student named Tozen told his master, "The sayings of the master are recorded and are read by us. Is it not so?" The master replied, "They are not read, they are used." "How are they used?" asked Tozen. "Only when you have one hand do you have it," replied the master. Tozen did not understand. Later, he went to another master, Umen, and told him what had been said. Umen lifted one hand and asked Tozen to say something about it. Tozen was silent. Umen struck him. In another, more famous telling, the master Hakuin presented this koan to his students. He would say, "You can hear the sound of two hands clapping. Now, what is the sound of one hand?" The students would go away and meditate on this. They would come back with all sorts of answers. One would say it was the sound of the wind. Hakuin would send him away. Another would say it was the sound of a cricket. Hakuin would send him away. Another would say it was the silence itself. Hakuin would send him away. The students tried to answer the question with their intellects by finding a clever metaphor or a philosophical concept. But the koan is not a riddle to be solved. It is a tool designed to break the thinking mind. It is a question that cannot be answered with thought, forcing the student to find a different way of knowing. You sit in the silent, empty room. The koan, "What is the sound of one hand?" echoes in the stillness. What does this have to do with the people who enter your life? Everything. The sound of two hands clapping is the world of duality, the world we normally live in. It is the world of me and you, this and that, good and bad, subject and object, right and wrong. When two hands clap, there is a clear cause and effect. There is a relationship. My hand 1 strikes your hand 2, and a sound 3 is produced. Our entire understanding of life and relationships is based on this model. You, hand 1, said something that hurt me, hand 2, and now I feel sad, the sound. I, hand 1, did something nice for you, hand 2, so you should be grateful, the sound. This person, hand 1, is the problem in my life, hand 2, and their removal would create peace, the sound. We live our lives in the sound of two hands clapping. It is a world of conflict, of separation, of cause and effect, of blame and credit. The Zen master, by asking for the sound of one hand, is inviting you into a completely different reality. He is asking you to find a place where there is no separation, no other, to clap against. What is the sound of you without the other you are defining yourself against? What is your feeling of sadness without the story of the person who caused it? What is your sense of self without the constant comparison to others? The sound of one hand is the sound of your own being, prior to all relationships, prior to all stories, prior to all conflict. It is the fundamental, silent, peaceful hum of your own existence. When you are caught in a difficult relationship, you are lost in the loud, often painful sound of two hands clapping. He did this, she said that, so I feel this way. It is an endless cycle of action and reaction. The koan invites you to do something radical. It invites you to withdraw one of the hands. Drop your side of the story. Drop your need to be right. Drop your reaction. What is left? What is the sound of the conflict when you are no longer participating in it? At first, there is silence. The deafening silence where the argument used to be. This can be frightening. But if you stay with it, you begin to hear something else. You begin to hear the sound of one hand. You begin to feel the ground of your own being, which was there all along, underneath the noise of the conflict. You realize that your peace is not dependent on the other hand. It is not dependent on the other person changing or apologizing. Your peace is inherent. It is the sound of your own hand. The people who enter your life are a constant invitation to hear this sound. Every time you are in conflict, every time you feel yourself in opposition to someone, you have a choice. You can keep clapping, creating more noise, more pain, more separation. Or you can stop, pull back your hand, and listen. Listen for the sound that needs no other. Listen for the peace that is not created by external circumstances, but is the very fabric of your own awareness. As you surrender to the deep quiet of the coming sleep, let go of the second hand. Let go of the other. In your mind, the person you are arguing with, the situation you are struggling against, just for this moment, let it all drop away. Be only one hand. What is the sound of your breath in the quiet room? What is the feeling of your body resting? What is the gentle, peaceful awareness that is here right now listening to these words? That is it. That is the sound. It needs nothing else to be complete. It is whole, it is peaceful, and it is you. Rest in that soundless sound. The profound silence of the koan gives way to a new scene. You find yourself standing at the edge of a high cliff. The ground is solid beneath your feet, but the drop is immense. Far below, you can see the tops of trees. The air is thin and exhilarating. It is a place of beauty, but also of great peril. As you stand there, a classic Zen story full of urgency and grace blossoms in your mind. A man was walking across a field when he encountered a hungry, ferocious tiger. He fled, the tiger chasing close behind him. He ran as fast as he could until he came to the edge of a precipice. With no other choice, he grabbed hold of a thick vine hanging down the cliff face and began to lower himself over the edge. As he dangled there, suspended between the sky and the earth, he looked up and saw the snarling tiger at the top of the cliff, sniffing at the vine. His only hope of escape was to climb down. But then he looked down, and to his horror, he saw another tiger at the bottom of the cliff, waiting for him to fall. He was trapped. The tiger above, the tiger below. Then, as if things could not get any worse, he saw two mice, one white and one black, emerge from a crevice in the cliff. They began to gnaw on the vine he was holding. He could feel the vine beginning to fray. He knew that at any moment, it could snap. His life was hanging by a thread, and time was running out. In that moment of absolute, inescapable peril, he looked to his side. And there, growing from a small ledge on the cliff face, he saw a single, wild strawberry. It was plump, red, and perfectly ripe. Reaching out with his free hand, he plucked the strawberry. He put it in his mouth, and he savored it. It was the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. You stand at the edge of the cliff, the intensity of the man's predicament pulsing within you. This story is a powerful metaphor for the human condition. The tiger chasing us is our past, our regrets, our mistakes, our traumas. It is always at our heels. The tiger waiting below is our future, our fear of death, of failure, of the unknown. It is always waiting for us. The vine we are clinging to is our life, our present moment. And the two mice, one white and one black, are day and night. They are the relentless passage of time, ceaselessly gnawing away at the vine of our existence. This is our situation. We are all, in every moment, hanging on that vine. We are suspended between the predator of our past and the predator of our future, while time eats away at our life. It is a terrifying predicament when you truly stop to consider it. And what do we do in this situation? We spend most of our time looking up at the tiger of the past, filled with regret and resentment. Or we look down at the tiger of the future, filled with anxiety and fear. We are so obsessed with the tigers that we completely forget about the vine we are holding and the cliff face right in front of us. The people who enter our lives often play the role of the tigers. A person from our past reappears, and we are thrown back into the grips of that old tiger. We worry about a future encounter with a difficult person, and we feed the tiger below. Our relationships become entangled in the drama of the two tigers, a constant struggle with past hurts and future anxieties. The man in the story, in his moment of ultimate crisis, does something extraordinary. He stops looking at the tigers. He stops obsessing over the mice. He brings his attention fully and completely to what is right there in his immediate reality. He sees the strawberry. The strawberry is the gift of the present moment. It is the simple sensory reality that is always available to us, no matter how perilous our situation seems. It is the feeling of the sun on your skin, the taste of a sip of water, the sound of a bird singing, the sight of a loved one's smile. It is the simple, unadorned experience of being here now. The people in our lives are not just the tigers. They are also the strawberries. Even in the midst of a difficult relationship, in the middle of an argument, there are strawberries to be found if we only have the presence of mind to look for them. There is the simple fact of the other person's breathing presence. There is the color of their eyes. There is the shared history that exists beneath the conflict. There is the opportunity for connection, however small. The man did not deny the tigers. They were real. He did not pretend the mice weren't there. They were a serious threat. But he chose not to give them all of his attention. He chose to give his attention to the one thing he could actually experience fully, the taste of the strawberry. This is the practice. It is not about pretending your problems don't exist. It is about choosing, again and again, to bring your attention back to the simple, tangible reality of the present. As you prepare to let go into sleep, acknowledge the tigers. See the past that chases you and the future that you fear. Acknowledge them, and then, gently, turn your head. Look for the strawberry. What is it right now? Is it the feeling of the soft pillow under your head? Is it the comforting weight of the blanket on your body? Is it the quiet rhythm of your own breath? Find one simple physical sensation, one small strawberry, and bring all of your attention to it. Savor it. Let it be the most delicious, most real thing in the universe. In that moment of savoring, the tigers lose their power. The past and future dissolve. There is only this simple, profound, and peaceful taste of being alive. The precipice and its stark drama dissolve, and you find yourself in a quiet, sun-dappled forest. The light filters through a canopy of green leaves, creating a peaceful, gentle atmosphere. The path leads you to a carpenter's clearing. Stacks of fragrant, freshly cut wood are piled neatly. In the center of the clearing sits a single, large, uncarved block of wood. It is rough, natural, and full of potential. An old carpenter sits on a nearby stool, not working, but simply observing the block with a look of deep respect. A story about simplicity and our original nature emerges from the stillness. In ancient China, there was a philosopher and a king. The king was a man of great ambition. He wanted to organize his kingdom perfectly. He created complex systems of laws, hierarchies of officials, elaborate rituals, and strict regulations for every aspect of life. He believed that through control, complexity, and cleverness, he could create a perfect, harmonious society. Yet, the more laws he created, the more criminals there were. The more complex the government became, the more corruption he found. The more he tried to control his people, the more unhappy and rebellious they became. In his frustration, the king sought the counsel of the philosopher, a man who lived simply in the woods. "I have done everything I can to bring order to my kingdom," the king lamented, "but everything is chaos. What am I doing wrong?" The philosopher pointed to a large, uncarved block of wood, similar to the one in the clearing. He said, "Your Majesty, consider this block of wood. In its natural state, it is simple, whole, and strong. It is what it is. A skilled carpenter can carve it into a beautiful table, an ornate chair, or a fierce dragon. But in doing so, the original, simple wholeness of the block is lost. It has become something specific, something limited. You have tried to carve your people into specific roles, to shape them with your laws and ambitions. You have forgotten the value of the uncarved block." The philosopher continued, "The uncarved block is a symbol of our original nature, simple, spontaneous, and pure. It is the state of things before we impose our complicated ideas and desires upon them. True harmony does not come from complex rules, but from returning to simplicity. Trust the people's original goodness. Let things be. Do less, and you will accomplish more. The best ruler is the one who governs so lightly that the people barely know he exists. He honors the uncarved block in everyone." The king, humbled, began to understand that his quest for control was the very source of the chaos. You sit in the clearing, the scent of pine and cedar in the air. You gaze at the uncarved block, feeling its raw, authentic power. This Taoist concept, known as Puge, is central to Zen. It is the idea of returning to our original, simple, unconditioned nature. We come into the world as uncarved blocks. We are pure potential, open, and spontaneous. Then, life begins to carve us. Our parents, our teachers, our society, they all take up their tools. They carve us into a good boy or a smart girl. They shape us into a specific profession, a political identity, a set of beliefs. We learn to be this and not that. We carve ourselves as well, trying to become more clever, more sophisticated, more successful. We add layers of personality, of ego, of ambition. We become intricate, complex carvings, and in the process, we often lose touch with the simple, whole, and powerful essence of who we were to begin with. The people who enter our lives are also part of this process. We meet them, and we immediately begin to carve them with our judgments and expectations. We want them to be our perfect partner, our supportive friend, our obedient child. We try to shape them to fit the role we have designed for them in our lives. We get frustrated when the wood of their being doesn't conform to our carving tools. We are trying to turn them into an ornate chair when their nature is to be a simple, sturdy table. This creates endless conflict and suffering. The invitation of this teaching is to learn to see and honor the uncarved block, both in ourselves and in others. To see another person as an uncarved block means to look past the labels, the roles, and the personality you have projected onto them. It means to see the essential, mysterious, whole being that exists beneath the surface. It is to grant them the freedom to be who they are, not who you want them to be. When you can do this, a deep respect is born. You stop trying to change them. You stop judging them. You can simply appreciate the unique, natural grain of their wood. To see yourself as an uncarved block is to let go of the pressure to be a perfect, finished product. It is to give yourself permission to be simple, to be unfinished, to be beautifully imperfect. It is to find value not in what you have become, but in the raw, authentic potential of what you are. It is to find peace not in complexity, but in simplicity. As you prepare for sleep, let go of all the carvings. Let go of the need to be successful, spiritual, likable, or good. Let go of the roles you play. Let go of the person you think you were supposed to be. Let all the intricate pieces fall away. Return to the simple, solid, powerful reality of the uncarved. D block. Feel the simple weight of your body. Hear the simple sound of your breath. Be with the simple, unadorned fact of your own existence. There is a profound peace and strength here. It is the peace of your original nature. It is the strength of wholeness. Rest in this simplicity. Rest in the quiet power of your own true self. The forest clearing fades and you find yourself on a sun-drenched beach. The sand is white and warm beneath your feet. The ocean stretches out before you, a vast expanse of brilliant blue sparkling in the sun. The waves roll in with a steady rhythmic hush, a sound that is both powerful and deeply calming. A small, simple fishing boat is pulled up on the shore. Not far from it, a fisherman is lying in a hammock strung between two palm trees, sleeping peacefully in the shade. The scene is the very picture of contentment. A story of ambition and true wealth unfolds in the gentle rhythm of the waves. A wealthy industrialist from a bustling northern city went on vacation to a small, coastal village in the south. He was a man driven by schedules, profits, and the constant need for growth. One afternoon, he was walking along the beach when he saw a local fisherman sleeping soundly in his hammock. Next to him was his small boat and a few large, beautiful fish lying on the sand. The industrialist, disturbed by what he saw as laziness, went over and woke the fisherman up. "Why are you sleeping?" the industrialist demanded. "It's the middle of the day. There are plenty more fish in the sea." The fisherman opened one eye and smiled. "I have caught enough fish for my family for today," he said simply. The industrialist scoffed. "But imagine if you spent the whole day fishing. You could catch twice as many fish." "And what would I do with twice as many fish?" the fisherman asked. "You could sell them," the industrialist said, growing excited. "You could sell the extra fish and make money. With that money, you could buy a bigger boat, and then you could go into deeper waters and catch even more fish." "And what would I do with a bigger boat and more fish?" the fisherman asked, still smiling. "You could hire other men to fish for you. You could buy a whole fleet of boats. You could build a cannery. You would be a rich man, a tycoon," the industrialist exclaimed, painting a grand vision. "You could leave this small village and move to the capital city. You could run your empire from there." "And what would I do then?" the fisherman asked, his voice calm and steady. The industrialist paused, thinking of the ultimate goal. "Well," he said, "then you would have made so much money that you could finally retire. You could sell your company and move to a small coastal village. You could sleep in late, fish a little in the morning, and then spend your afternoons sleeping in a hammock." The fisherman looked at the industrialist, then at his hammock, then at the sea. He smiled his peaceful smile. "But I am already doing that," he said. And he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. You stand on the warm sand, the sound of the ocean washing over you. The story is simple, almost humorous, yet it strikes at the very heart of our modern striving. We are like the industrialist. We are constantly chasing a future state of peace and contentment, believing it lies on the other side of more effort, more accumulation, more success. The people who enter our lives often get swept up in this chase. We form relationships based on mutual ambition. We evaluate partners based on their potential for success. We pressure our children to achieve, to build a future that will finally allow them to rest and be happy. We are constantly telling ourselves and others to catch more fish. We live in the if only and the when. When I get this promotion, then I can relax. When the kids are grown, then we'll have time for ourselves. When I've saved enough money, then I can be happy. We are all on the industrialist's frantic path, seeking to earn the right to the very thing the fisherman already possesses. The fisherman embodies a radical and liberating wisdom. He understands that contentment is not a destination to be reached after years of struggle. It is a choice available in this present moment. His wealth is not measured in money or assets, but in time, in peace, and in the simple joy of being. He has enough. Enough is one of the most powerful and countercultural words in the human language. Our entire economy is built on the idea that we never have enough. But the fisherman has discovered the secret. The moment you decide you have enough, you become truly rich. Think about the people in your life. Do you measure your relationships by what you are getting or what you are getting? Or can you simply enjoy them for what they are right now? Can you find the contentment of the fisherman in a simple conversation with a friend without needing it to be a networking opportunity? Can you find the richness of a quiet evening with your family without it needing to be a grand, Instagram-worthy event? Can you find enough in the simple, loving presence of another person? The fisherman's secret is not laziness. It is a profound intelligence. He has not rejected work. He has put it in its proper place. He works to live. He does not live to work. His life is not a means to an end. His life, right now, is the end. It is the goal itself. As you allow the gentle, rhythmic sound of the waves to guide you towards sleep, let go of the industrialist mindset. Let go of the endless chase. Let go of the belief that your peace and happiness are in some distant future. Find the feeling of enough, right here, right now. You have enough air to breathe. You have enough support from the surface beneath you. You have enough presence of mind to be aware of this moment. You are the fisherman. You are already in the beautiful coastal village. The hammock is waiting. The peace you have been striving for your whole life is already here. It is not something you earn. It is something you allow. Let yourself have it now. Rest. You have enough. You are enough. The sun-drenched beach dissolves into the deep blue of twilight. You find yourself standing on a hill overlooking a quiet valley. Nestled in the valley is a small monastery, its roofs dark against the fading light. As you watch, a light appears in the belfry. A few moments later, a deep, resonant sound rolls up the hill and washes over you. It is the evening bell, calling the monks to meditation. The sound is rich and pure. It hangs in the air for a long time, and even after the sound itself has faded, you can feel its vibration, its echo, in the stillness. A story about action and its consequences, seen and unseen, comes to you on the waves of this sound. In a remote mountain monastery, there was a young monk who was given the responsibility of ringing the great temple bell each day. It was a task he took very seriously. At first, he rang it with great force, thinking that a louder, more powerful sound was better. He struck the bell with all his might, creating a jarring, clanging noise that shuddered through the valley. The old abbot came to him. "You are ringing the bell as if it were your enemy," he said. "The bell is not just an object, it is a voice. It speaks to the valley, to the villagers, to the trees, and to the clouds. Your state of mind when you ring it becomes the message. You are ringing it with aggression, and so you are sending aggression out into the world." The young monk was ashamed. He began to ring the bell with a timid, hesitant touch. The sound was weak and thin, and it barely carried beyond the monastery walls. Again, the abbot came to him. "Now you ring the bell with fear," he said. "You are afraid of its power, so you do not allow it to sing. You are sending a message of fear into the world." The young monk was at a loss. "Master, how then should I ring the bell?" The abbot replied. "You must ring the bell with your whole being. Before you strike it, become still. Feel the silence. Feel your connection to the bell, to the valley, to all the beings who will hear it. Ring it with a mind of peace, of compassion, of reverence. Do not ring it for them, ring it as them. Then the sound will be true." The young monk took this teaching to heart. The next evening, he went to the belfry and stood before the great bell in silence for a long time. He breathed with the stillness of the valley. He felt a sense of love for all the things the sound would touch. Then, with a single, mindful, focused, and graceful motion, he struck the bell. A deep, pure, resonant tone emerged. It was not loud, yet it was powerful. It filled the valley not with noise, but with a profound sense of peace. It was a sound that seemed to heal the air itself. And as he listened, he realized that the sound did not end when it became inaudible. Its echo continued, rippling outward into the world in ways he could never fully know. You stand on the hill feeling the last vibration of the temple bell in your very bones. This story is a beautiful metaphor for every action you take, every word you speak, every thought you think. You are the monk, and your life is the bell. Every interaction with another person is the act of ringing that bell. The quality of your inner state when you act or speak determines the quality of the sound you send out into the world. If you speak to someone with a mind full of anger and judgment, like the monk's first attempt, your words may be technically correct, But the sound they receive is one of aggression. The echo of that aggression will ripple through their day, and they will likely pass it on to others. You have sent a jarring clang into the world. If you interact with people from a place of fear or insecurity, like the monk's second attempt, you send out a weak, hesitant energy. You do not allow your own light to shine, and you do not inspire confidence or connection in others. The sound is thin and quickly dies. But if you can learn to pause, to connect with a deeper place of peace and compassion within yourself before you interact, like the monk's final, mindful strike, then everything changes. The words you speak, the actions you take, will be imbued with a different quality. They will carry a resonance of peace. They will be a healing sound in the world rather than just more noise. The people who enter your life are the primary recipients of the sounds you make. Your family, your friends, your co-workers. They live in the valley where your bell rings every day. What kind of sound are they hearing from you? Is it a sound of judgment, of anxiety, of distraction? Or is it a sound of presence, of compassion, of peace? And the lesson goes even deeper. The monk realized that the echo of the bell continued, unseen. Every small act of kindness, every patient word, every moment of genuine presence is a pure tone sent out into the world. You may not see its effects. The person you were kind to may go on to be kind to a stranger. That stranger, in turn, may go home and be more patient with their family. Your single, mindful act can ripple outward, touching countless lives in ways you will never know. You are far more powerful than you realize. Your inner state is constantly shaping the world around you. As you prepare to drift into sleep, become aware of the bell of your own being. Let go of the jarring sounds of your day, the conflicts, the anxieties, the frustrations. Let the bell fall silent. Rest in a deep, profound stillness that is your true nature. And from that place of silence, make a gentle intention for the morning to ring the bell of your life with mindfulness, with presence, and with compassion. To send a beautiful healing sound into the world just by being the peace you wish to see. Rest now in the endless, peaceful echo of that intention.